Now the next part of this is I want to get the fender sanded down. I'm trying to make one set of bodywork in primer so that when we get the guns and the white to do our test, we can get it all done in one day. Now I did the prep on these parts. I got this one done already. It's very similar. Simple green, Prepsol, wipe it down thoroughly, get it ready for primer. Every time we add a part in primer, and what I've been doing is coming down, I get a 15-minute gap here, a 20-minute gap here. I'm trying to do one part at a time until I have, from this selection of stuff, one whole set of bodywork that I can pretty much, when Mark gets here with the white, the two spray guns, we can do the white test, and actually one of the fairings, I don't know which one of the two is in better shape yet. One of the fairing has to be blue, the fender has to be red, bodywork white, and then we have to start laying out this incredible, beautiful paint job. I really do like the paint job on these. This is really a nice paint job. Whenever I've seen one of these in real life, I've always thought, I got to be able to use that paint job at some time in the future. Now, as I said before, I try to get little gaps of time, and the way my life plays out is a lot of times Karen will go shopping, or there'll be something and I have an hour. Well, I have that hour right now. I have exactly an hour. And I thought, well, I can get another part or two in primer. The more I can get done, the more efficiently I can get this done when we actually have the spray guns and the paint stuff in-house, because as soon as we get, and I want Mark to be here when I do this, when I put the first coat of white with the pearl in it, I'd like him to say, yep, that's the color I want. Because if it isn't, he spent a lot of money on paint. There's a lot of money. That paint is not cheap, believe me. And we don't want to waste it, of course. Now, there's a pulp. That's why I forgot the whole reason I wanted to show this. Let me dry this off. I'm trying to go through the bodywork here of things. Virtually every part has some bodywork. Something that we have to do. This part has been cracked. I'm going to put a piece of fiberglass back in here, and I'll do that with CA. This part has been, I think I repaired this. It looks like one of my repairs. And this one had a crack here that I'm going to sand out, hopefully. Get the rest of the primer done. Now this is an important part of this kind of a job, where we have an inside radius here. Wherever there's an inside radius, I try to get my finger down in there if I can, because that's where I don't want the paint, even though the rubber bushing goes in there, I don't want the paint to pop or peel or turn into something that we don't want. And again, most important thing as you prep in each part is to get this edge radius. If that's a sharp edge, wow, you're really in big trouble at some point in time. Now this one, it looks to me like this is just going to be a dent. I can just sand that flat with a block. Up here there was a little, now that one's okay. And when you're restoring these old parts, it's always something. It never just goes as quick as you think it is. But then at the end, when you're all done with it and you have something basically that you can't buy in a store, it's not like you can just go to Motorcycle Mall and get an FZ600. And that paint job, I have always liked that paint job. That's been one of my favorites. Anyway, I want to dry this off and then get to the rest of that repair. Now, I always have a hard sanding block, some 220 paper dry, because I want to see. Now in this case, if you look at where this crack is, I think I'm going to be able to get most of this just block sanded down, and it's already been repaired once. And then if I can't, or even if I can, I'm going to try to put some, was done with epoxy, put some CA back here to reinforce it even a little bit more. But pretty much a cut and dry thing, a hard block. Yeah, this looks like it's going to come out okay. Get that radius in there. And every time I can get one more part over on the I am prime table, sooner or later we're going to have a whole motorcycle except for the gas tank, which Mark is still working on. You know, I got to do some more block sanding on this. I may have to in fact, I'll do it right now, block sand it wet. I was thinking I could just do it dry and it would be fine. Not really. It's going to be a compromise if I do it that way. I was trying to just kiss it and get it flat. Well, sometime that works. Definitely give it a try, but if it doesn't, now what's going to happen, we're down into the bare plastic here, so I'm going to have to be real careful when I prime this, because that's going to be, that is actually going to be raw plastic. Now as I get ready to prime this, the last little thing that preps off, make sure that's good and clean. It's been cleaned several times already, but just before I go to shoot the primer. And it's, a lot of people don't take advantage of the fact they have plenty of time in their life to do jobs, but what they try to do is they need a 4-hour job, and they're uncomfortable with the idea that they should do an hour before breakfast, an hour after lunch, and whatever. Now, because when I built model planes, I had to put so many hours in, I mean hundreds of hours, I got very comfortable and used to the idea I can come down here for an hour, come down before I go to bed, come down in the morning before breakfast or whatever, and always get a big job done in little bits and pieces, and at the end, a job this big, and this is a gigantic job. This would intimidate a lot of people, but if you can do it in such a way, now see, this is still coming out dirty. You just throw that away. And this is the part of the job you have to be fussy about, because once it's primed, the downside of this material instead of M600 would evaporate. And I did the test by filling up 2 little shot glasses, and the M600 evaporated and the other thing was 3/4 full. So I know it was a better quality product. Now see, here's the problem with this material. We'll leave that up there for now. This stays wet for, if you just walk away, I guess maybe if it's a sunny day. That's not true, maybe. But in our shop conditions, this stays wet for an hour. Now I have to use even more paper towels. I mean, use a case of paper towels on a job like this, but you're just wasting them because this material should already have evaporated. And I guess it's just me. I've been spoiled over the years of using Sikkens M600. It was very easy to get spoiled. I am spoiled. For that part now, we're ready for primer. Now, Mark brought this stool down. He said he was complaining every time he's by the shop, there's no place to sit. Well, this is not a sit-down shop. This is a stand-up and work shop. And now, I got the fender primed. I got these parts the other day. I got this part ready. I may get one. In fact, I think I'm going to try to do the other side piece. Same thing as I did before. Now, because it's been so cold out and we have the heat on, these parts have dried up really a lot faster than I thought they would. And I actually have enough time here, I think I can get. And again, I'm trying to do this. If I tried to do this all in, just a couple of days, it's not happening. And I think the way I've planned the job out, I think we're going to get a lot of efficiency out of it. But again, I decided my corporate decision is get this part done next. And then we'll have, if I can get both of them done in this session, I'll count this as a real productive session. Now what makes this even more challenging is every part is different. This is a mismatched set of parts. Some are not in terrible shape. This one happens to be not in bad shape, but they all need to be degreased. Even if you were buying a brand new part from a dealer and going to paint it to match your bike, a bodywork part or whatever, I just haven't found a better way to do it than start off with simple green. Finish it with the prep sol. Sand it when you know the part is perfectly clean and the towels are coming out clean, and you you won't make yourself crazy with fish eyes. Now, in the course of doing this part, I noticed a hairline crack. If you look at that close, what could potentially happen? That's going to crack the paint at some point in time. And of course, when it does, that crack is going to work its way up here. I'm sure anybody's ever seen a car with spider cracks. That could very easily ruin all the effort, all the time, all the money we put into this. So we're going to fix that with thin CA right now. Now I spread the crack open, get some of this to go down in there, hold it shut, and just wipe it with a Q-tip on both sides and wait for that to set. Now what we'll do, because we want to reinforce this, I'm going to take a small piece of carbon fiber, doesn't take much. And what I want to do is carefully now where that crack was, and if you look from the inside, even though I've put a little glue in there, a little CA, it's still, I would sleep better at night knowing that this is reinforced. So by laying that carbon fiber in there, and now I can carefully just get it right into the position I want. Now it's stuck. Now I can add a little more CA. And again, a little preventive, hoping that that's not going to ever be a problem. Well, we hopefully have stacked the deck in our favor that way. And the side, I'll just sand that very lightly when I'm done. That's going to be fine. Because I don't want to wait, time is of the essence, I can put one little spritz of kicker on there. And oh, that's solid as a rock now. Solid as a rock. And this side here, just the slightest little cosmetic hit with a sanding block. When that's primed over, the only way you'll know where that is if you've watched the video. Because when that's done, I got to re-clean the part now with. But that repair with the carbon fiber reinforcement, that's the kind of little details that make a job like this, that you can repair parts that these break off often, or something else breaks. These corners, usually the paint dries out and they crack. You can sand them. You can see how little paint is on these parts with the edges. Well, here we have some kind of a scratch I filled in. But hopefully we can salvage all of these parts. All the little repairs are done. The sand throughs in here scuffed up. The little spot in the back, that's ready for its primer now. Oh, this turned out to be a very efficient short session today. Now with the parts up by the heating vent, both of these big giant side panels done. Boy, we're making some progress here. There's just some days it seems like goes without too much delay. Today we're getting a lot done. I'm very impressed for a short work session. We're one by one, getting the parts into prime. Now the next part on our hit list here, and I'm just looking at some of the damage. It looks like this is the better of the two parts. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to sand the whole part, I'm going to dress this off. This side needs, it looks like it's been dropped on both sides. Now in the end of this, what Mark is going to have to do is mask off the new paint and then just barbecue paint the inside. You can't really do this work with having this back masked off. All the water falls in there as you're doing it and it just makes a mess. So if anybody decides they want to have the inside flat black or a different color, when the paint is totally done, you back mask it off, and you can see that's exactly what they did here. And then take barbecue paint, old spray barbecue paint, and just do the inside. Luckily we have a whole fresh gallon of simple green for this job, because we're using the simple green for a lot of stuff, a lot of cleanup, both inside and out. And it looks like somebody dropped acetone or something in here. Can't really tell. Doesn't really matter. Fresh barbecue paint will take care of that. But these rough areas now, and I'm going to try to do this with, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do this. Just where the rough area is here, I wanted to just roughen it up. And then I'll clean this again. This has already been cleaned once cleaned and dried with Simple Green, and it's still got a lot of, the rag is coming out dirty. You just got to keep doing it. And this part here, I think needs a little more work. And the best thing of all, you can check it, is with your hand in a rubber glove is very sensitive. You can feel every little spot that's not just right on that. Now this area here has been really, I didn't realize how deep the scratches are. And I'm having to go down into the plastic quite a bit, which is not a problem, but I'm using a block so I don't wind up making a wave on it. And again, my hand is telling me that there's some, this is a spot you'll really see. It's a very obvious spot when this curve is going to have a big gouge in it or something. Yep. It's just going to require a lot of block sanding here to get this straightened out. But I didn't think I'd get this much done today, but there's just some days that, well, you have an hour or 2 hours or a gap in time and things go your way and everything works out great and the paint dries well, and the next day you come out to the shop and you think everything's going to be the same, and something happens and you drop the paint on the floor and everything goes the other way. So we're almost ready. It's coming up on having this done. Almost ready to get this part in prime, and realistically, that's all we're going to get done today. But this couple hours really worked out to our advantage with this much ahead of the game. And again, my whole goal is that when Mark gets here with the two spray guns, we can mix up the paint, go outside and shoot a test panel, assuming it's a paintable day, and see if he's happy. See if it's Mikey likes it or not. You can see I still got to do some sand. There's still a little gap there. And I don't want to use any Bondo on this if I don't have to. I had to do a lot of dressing off where the decal was. That glue that they put on there pulled up a chunk of, I guess, the white paint. I had to level that out. This came out okay, and the other side's okay too. And that part ready for primer. Well, we end this session on a really positive note. That looks like it's going to really be fine. I would say realistically we got a lot of bang for the buck here. We have 2 more pieces, I believe, on this set. Again, there's parts hanging up by the heating vent. There's parts. This is turning into a laundromat again. And tomorrow Vlad is supposed to pick his stuff up, so that'll make that we have a little more room here. And we can't have stuff on the floor, of course, when the baby's here, but we're just going back and forth for these past few days. And I'm just hoping it's going to, we're going to have some good weather, because we have had some crappy painting weather, but we're certainly making some progress. And hey, I hope you've enjoyed the video. And all I can say is thanks for watching. Thanks for watching us prime away. This is really going to be nice when it's done. You'll be impressed, I'm sure.